Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Targran and I'm here to present to you yet another episode of Lore of League of Legends. I present to you the lore of Heimerdinger, the revered inventor, and Rumble, the mechanized menace. Enjoy. Bandle City, the Yordle capital, is a great place to live, not only by Yordle standards. The small beautiful city can provide its citizens with safety, resources, food and education. It also has a unique charm connected not only to its looks, but also people. Yordles need social interaction in order to survive. This is what makes them seem like happy, solidary nation. Not many of the small people decide to leave their town and travel through the world. Not everything is perfect in Bandle City though. While Yordles do have a university, their science is still developing. Due to their traditions, they have not been pursuing power and expansion through any means necessary. They never needed to. But the standards of Yordle University are not good for everyone. Heimerdinger, now famous for his inventions, used to attend the university, but after finishing his third doctorate, he had realized that there was no challenge in front of him, no scientist more intelligent or better trained. He was alone on the top. Heimerdinger started looking for a place to further expand his knowledge, and shortly he was invited by the Academy of Piltover to travel north and make his mark on the City of Progress. He could never resist such an offer. The call of knowledge was too strong. He knew, however, that without his Yordle brothers he would feel lonely and sad. He gathered those who were in love with science, just like himself, and left Bandle City. Upon arriving to the City of Progress, Heimerdinger had been given his own institute where he could work with his fellow Yordles on whatever he wanted. Thus, the backbone of the famous Yordle Academy of Science and Progress had been created, and from there, its development would only begin. With almost unlimited resources that Piltover could provide, Yordles could perform experiments that were impossible for them previously. With each discovery made by Heimerdinger's team, his position in the world would significantly increase. He was slowly becoming famous amongst other scientists, praised for his curiosity and determination to expand his knowledge and make good use of it to further develop the field of techmeturgy. His most famous projects include the development of star rods that light the many streets across Valoran, creation of the 7 lenses of light insight, as well as the reconnaissance operations frontline copter, currently used by Corky and his squadron of the Bandle City Expeditionary Force. However, with his endless hunger for knowledge, Heimerdinger could not stop at trivial matters. He needed to focus on something bigger, something far more important. His current mind, however, was not up to the task. He needed to make it bigger, faster, better. He spent long years of experiments and studies on developing a project that was meant to increase his brain's capabilities, so he'd be able to use most of it at once. He performed an experiment on himself and it seemed to work. It had only one downside to it. It has also increased the size of Heimerdinger's brain, giving him curious outer look. He didn't really mind that. Most of his days were spent in the laboratory or study, where he did not need to see anyone but his close co-workers. With his new better mind, however, he turned into bigger matters. For example, the current state of the war. It was not open conflict anymore, but animosity still exists. This cannot stay like that, or everything will explode one day. At least that's what Heimerdinger thinks. He spends day after day trying to figure out a scientific way of saving the world, but in the meantime, he occasionally shows up at the League of Legends to remind everyone how powerful science can be, and they should never forget about it. Most people on Valoran consider Heimerdinger to be a great representative of the Yordle race on the whole continent. He's very intelligent, crafty and dedicated, and they believe that no better man could be chosen to represent every Yordle. Not everyone agrees with them, especially amongst Yordles themselves. Some consider Heimerdinger to be a sellout, a traitor who had abandoned the tradition of his city and escaped it to work for someone else, and provide them with technology that should rightfully belong to the Yordles. Rumble is one of the most vocal opponents of Heimerdinger. Even by the Yordle standards, Rumble has always been a small person. He was always fragile, short and generally weak in his appearance. Due to that unfortunate qualities, he'd had to get used to being bullied by bigger, older friends. Even such friendly races had to settle their differences somehow, especially amongst teenage boys. Constant bullying and fight have forged Rumble into a smart, crafty young man with a quick temper and a nasty habit of getting even with anyone who had ever crossed him. He chose the life of a loner, not to be bothered by people surrounding him. He instead preferred to tinker, in company of gadgets, mechanical parts at his workshop. He could often be seen rummaging through junkyards looking for things that look useful or just plain interesting to the Yordle. His teachers were honestly impressed by the young Rumble's potential and skills as a mechanic. They watched his work and could see a clear future in front of him as part of the Yordle Academy of Science and Progress. Some have even seen new Heimerdinger's esteemed protege in Rumble, but he refused to leave the Bandle City. He thought very lowly of Heimerdinger and he could never agree to cooperate with him. Not with a traitor that the revered inventor was in his eyes. When he'd heard the news of Heimerdinger's human students coming to Bandle City to see the hometown of their great mentor, Rumble decided to pay them a visit and see how great they really are after learning from Heimerdinger. When he met them face to face, however, he could not hold his emotions and started exchanging his views about Piltover taking advantage of the Yordles and exploiting their technology. When he returned home hours later, he'd been beaten. But that's not what hurt him the most. He's heard enough about being ashamed to the enlightened Yordles that he started thinking about it. He left the city without a trace. For months he'd been gone. Lost somewhere beyond the borders of the city-state, he spent his time working. He had something to prove, not only to himself but everyone else as well. He did not need to live in Piltover to be a constructor. He was doing well enough on his own. And his creation, even if still a prototype, was something to be proud of. It still lacked some key features, but it had to do. When he returned on his mechanized monstrosity, he marched through the heart of Bandle City between the Yordles who watched him with a mixture of awe and fear. There he announced that he will head straight to the League of Legends to show them the true power of the Yordle technology. He named his machine Tristy, and some speculate that it might be related to Tristana, another of the Yordle champions in the League of Legends on whom Rumble had a crush back when he was a young boy. Not been confirmed by anyone else though. Tristy, however, was just a beginning. He'd already started thinking about a new design, standing almost 4 times higher than his current mech, on legs that could withstand a direct mortar fire. A true mech, capable of stopping a whole army, if that was ever necessary, protected by arcanomagnetic deflection fields armed with missile arrays that had sorcerous motion tracking and remote guidance systems hidden within them. Of course, not to mention the main source of firepower, a pair of rotary 10-barrel cannons and the focused energy charging plasma emitter, also known as the Death Ray. It is still Rumble's fantasy, however, and a lot of time will pass before any of that will be possible for him. For now though, he has his Tristy. And even though she's not flawless, and she lacks seatbelts, those two make a great duo on the lanes of the Summoner's Rift. And that's all we prepared for you this time around. Let us know if you like this video by pressing that like button, leaving your feedback in the comment section below, and sharing this video around. If you really enjoyed this one particular, feel free to add the video to your favourites as it helps us out a great deal. And as always, I'll see you next time.